Welcome to Withdraw Consent. I'm Jack. So I was watching recently an interview with Kevin McCarthy, the former Speaker of the House. And it was very interesting to me because the guy was so credible. Like you watch him and you're like, wow, this guy's so legit, right? But you know in your mind he's not very legit. You know, he's a complete establishment show, but you're listening to him and you're like, wow, that's really credible. And then he just says something absolutely absurd. And you're like, wait, what? You know what I mean? You had me I was bedazzled by you for a second or whatever you want to say, one of the things he said, it just triggered in my mind. Sometimes we're in opposite world, and my wife I'll tell her a story and she'll be like, it's just clown world out there, Candace Owens does this thing that I really like where she says, everything is fake and gay. And really, if you just sum up all 3 episodes I'm doing this week, everything's fake and gay. I literally, on last week's episodes that I edited, I literally, as Candace Owens does say, everything's fake and gay because everything is, and this is an example, right? So Kevin McCarthy's talking, and he's talking about, the axis of evil, right? It's just anybody America doesn't like. So right now, the axis of evil, it could change tomorrow. Don't worry. You know what I mean? The axis of evil, though, is Russia, Iran, and China. And he just says this like this is a thing that everybody should believe, You know why, though? It's because they're run by like unstable dictators, They're not stable like the democracies that are real stable, right? And I'm listening to this and I'm like, it's clown world. Everything's fake and gay. It's the exact opposite of that. And it just all starts cascading in my mind. And I realize it's the opposite. So let me pitch you the view that it's the exact opposite of that. Okay. So we could just take any example. So yesterday, let's do yesterday. I was talking about Iran and the missile strikes on Israel, right? So Israel is a very stable democracy. They always make wise anti-war decisions, right? Oh, they're the wild ones in the region who are doing war with everybody around them. So the democracy in Israel is the unstable one. But okay, maybe that's just an outlier. Let's look at Iran, right? I told you about yesterday, they said you mistook our mercy for weakness because they had the power over Israel the entire time. So wait, they were really just pulling punches and not doing anything crazy? Iran is the really stable and in control one? Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, let's go to another situation and just see if this pattern plays out. Let's go back to World War II real fast. Then we'll go back to the current axis of evil, okay? So let's see. Hitler was the crazy... Oh, wait. Who was the one firebombing cities? Who was that one? Oh, that was the British and the U.S. So that was the unstable democracies doing that, right? At the end of the war, the Russians are coming into Germany and they tell Hitler, we must deploy the chemical weapons. We must deploy the gas. We have got the biggest supply on the continent. They don't have any masks. We could slaughter them. We could save Germany. We could slaughter them. They're making millions of masks. They're trying to rush them to the front line, the USSRs, right? And he says, no. He says, I'm not willing to win at that cost because he knew the gases would kill German women, German children. He had been gassed in World War I. If you recall, he was in the hospital trying to recuperate from that when the war ended. They were stabbed in the back, whatever. But so Hitler, he was frazzled at the end because lack of delegating responsibilities had created too much pressure, and his mind was incredibly stressed. So he wasn't as stable at the end, but he was still stable enough not to commit war crimes as they were firebombing his cities, the stable democracies. Come on, you've got to be kidding me, right? Let's go back to the axis of evil. We got 2 left. We got Russia and China, right? Let's look at Russia. Is Russia an unstable dictatorship, right? Oh my gosh. After they made the Minsk Accords and then Minsk Accords 2, Putin sat there for years and years and years and years and let the Azov battalion guys bomb his ethnic Russians in Ukrainian Donbass, right? And he sat there and he waited and he waited and he waited. Oh my gosh. I would have went in 24 hours. I would have went into the Donbass. I would have been at war with Ukraine years and years and years ago if I was Vladimir Putin. And I love my Russian people. There's no doubt that he loves his Russian people, but so stable was he that he waited and he waited and he gave them time and he attempted other reasons for the last resort of the terrible crushing weight of war, Look at all the stable democracies, right? They're just okay. Now let's go to China, right? It's funny because it's like projection. We're like, oh, they're going to invade Taiwan. They may eventually, but they're taking their sweet time. I'll tell you that, sweet time. You know, they did this most recent, they didn't give a warning, and they woke up in Taiwan and they were just like surrounded. It was their war games. You know, normally they give us advance notice. They tell us exactly which regions they're going to be in, you know, so it doesn't hurt shipping and all that. And this time they just surprised them. But what I'm saying is incredibly stable. The dictator, you know. Now let's look at the U.S. as the model for democracy, because everybody's modeled their democracy around the United States. There's different variations of it, of course. The United States foreign policy is the most unstable, psychotic thing you can ever imagine. It's how many coups in Africa do we do? We're absolutely insane. We're like, but we're the good guys. The axis of evil over there. What is the axis of evil? Oh my gosh, it's backwards world. It's clown world. Everything's fake and gay. Okay, let's go to, I forget his name, Kim Jong-un or Il. I forget which one he is. I'm sorry. But basically, like, think about him. They're like, oh, we can't let him get nuclear weapons. If we let him get nuclear weapons, you know what I mean? Well, oh, the world's the exact same as it was yesterday. It's the exact, are we going to wake up and it's going to be a, you know what I'm saying? Wake up in a mushroom cloud? No, exactly. It's insane. Everything's backwards. So, and I'm not going to say every dictator has a stable dictatorship, because I immediately go think about African warlords who are like, you know, they're doing these tribal battles or installed by the U.S. and they're just completely unstable and they're just benefiting themselves. Their people could be wealthy, but they can't actually, because if they get a good leader who cares about the people, the United States will just coup them. There's no hope. There's no hope with the United States, the system that we have in place, oppressing Africans, which should be the main. If Malcolm X were here, he would tell you. I'll tell you. Anyways, so I'm not trying to pitch that, and I'm not trying to pitch that all democracies are unstable, right? I'm just saying when you look at, in large part, the main, most important, powerful democracies are incredibly unstable in their just psychotic war lust. And it just appears that the dictators, or they're not all dictators. I know that's not true, but that's the way they push it, are not all unstable. It seems to be, the pattern seems to be quite the opposite of that, right? And I have this theory that in a democracy, there's so much dilution of power that you could do much more psychotic things. So it's kind of like crowd psychology, right? You would never, flip over a car. You would never just be walking down the road and say, like, you know, that parked car, we should just flip it over. But if it's after a Super Bowl and you're in this crowd and everybody's pumped and maybe you've had a few beers and this and that, and everybody's like, I'll help you. Like, how did you get to that? Because it was this crowd psychology. And I feel like, so it's a dilution of accountability, right? So when Vladimir Putin has to make that terrible choice to go into Ukraine, everybody in Ukraine who loses a son, a grandson, they know that there's one person responsible, and it's Vladimir Putin. And that weight weighs on his soul. He has to know that he's making the correct move for his people, even though it's going to be at a massive cost. He got to know that that's the only way to get it, because he bears all the weight. Now, if you're in the Senate and you're like, okay, it's 2002, and you're like, okay, we're going to have to do a joint session of Congress to vote for this AUMF, and it's going to, I mean, I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just 1 in 500 and something people, in both houses, both branches, of Congress. And so it's like, maybe their democracies are prone to doing more unstable things because of the dilution of accountability. That's just a theory I have. I think it's interesting. I think if you hear this idea and you think about it, and every time you hear it in the future, I think alarm bells will go off. And if that's the case, then this episode was a phenomenal success, because that's what I'm trying to. I always knew it was stupid when they were saying, I don't know, it was like in the 2000s or something, and they're always just coming up with some other acts of evil. And I know it's stupid, but I didn't know it was backwards. I didn't understand that at the time. I always knew that it was propaganda and it was stupid. But now that I understand that it's backwards, I think that's beautiful. Anyways, that's what I got for you this week. Locals is up and running. Come join us over there. I want to literally start talking about, I want people to come over there just free. You can download the app on your phone, whatever you want to do. You can make a fake account. I don't really care. And just come over there. And I want to end up having, 50 people over there who are engaged in intelligent people who are having discourse on the content of the episodes and even on future episodes and stuff like that, pitching episode ideas. You can do anything you want. I think that would be great. Anyways, that's what I got for you. Hope you guys have a terrific weekend. Hope to see you next week.